Alright, so we got another fairly quick one. This time I recently moved into this new place and I'm kind of redecorating everything and putting things in their places, of course. But as you can see, I have all these faux plastic pumpkins and I use a lot of them to just kind of just decorate the area and just fill out space and make it look a little cooler. Obviously you can tell that my vibe is like a spookier Halloween gothic type deal, but with these pumpkins they normally come as you can see fairly kind of shiny. They're not really glossy, but since they're plastic they do give off a little bit more of a reflection than a natural pumpkin would, and they're, you know, fairly clean looking. You might get some, you know, like this one has a little bit of texture on the stem, but that's not really good enough for what I'm going for. So what I will do is, you can kind of see I did this one a while ago. I might hit it one more time just to get a little bit more of the gloss off of it, but you can kind of tell maybe that it looks a little bit more dirty. It looks a little more natural. Again, not quite as glossy as something like this. Looks, you know, this is a little bit brighter orange. This is a little bit more muted down, dark, dirtier, grungier, like you would normally get a pumpkin out of a pumpkin patch and be a little more natural. So what we're gonna do to all these pumpkins to get this effect is we're gonna create a really just muddy, dirty wash, which we'll take a normal squirt bottle that mists, you know, if you adjust it to the mister setting, and we're gonna just throw a little bit of water in the bottom, not a lot. You don't want it to be super watered down, but you want it to be enough that you can kind of get the paint on here, and then we'll come back and just kind of like wipe it away and stuff. But I'm gonna be mixing up black, brown, maybe even a little green and a little orange, just to give it a little bit of color, but not too much. You know, you want to keep it basically a dirty, muddy mix is what we're going to be mixing into this bottle. And we're just going to coat the pumpkins, and then we'll take you can take a rag, a paper towel, whatever, and just crumple it into a ball so it's not working with, you know, there's no uniform surface. It's just nice and crumbly and rough, and we're gonna, you know, squirt it down, and then we'll wipe it away so it doesn't look too crazy, because if you missed it, you can get like those little water splotty look, and you don't really want that. That looks kind of weird. You just want it to look dirty and grimy. So we're gonna get all that situated. I'm gonna throw down a quick little tarp here so I don't get my new carpet and everything dirtied up from this mud water that we're gonna make. And we're just gonna work our way through these pumpkins. Probably start with the little ones just to get started, make sure that my mixture's working properly, and then we'll just work our way through the big ones and see what we got at the end. Alright, so we're working through. We got the first little batch of little guys done. They're looking pretty good. I might do another coat on some of them just to make them a little more dirty. Some of them look pretty nice. But like I said, I just basically got this dirty mud water is what I call it, because that's kind of what we're replicating. And we're simply just taking a pumpkin in no particular rhyme or reason, just get it all dirty and wet, and then we just have this I use a little paper towel and I just crumple it up in a ball, and we're just going around and dabbing it lightly. Nothing too crazy. You can't really go wrong with this. It's a natural thing we're creating, so to be as random and natural as possible is your best bet. You know, I'm not really thinking about it too much. I'm just kind of dabbing up the bigger areas, so it's not, you know, we're not creating those water spots I was talking about. And then we have a nice dingy, not so glossy, a little bit dulled down pumpkin. And again, same thing, nothing crazy. I am using matte paint for this. That's basically what I use for all my stuff. It's just easier to do that, and then if I'm doing a traditional paint, and I can, my final clear coat or varnish or whatever, I can dictate how glossy I want it to be. So with that, with this paint being a matte, it's creating that dull effect even if there isn't much paint on it. Just having whatever creates that matte finish in the paint on here, just enough to dull down the shininess, helps make it look a little more real. Still get a little bit glossy come through, which you would normally on a pumpkin. You know, it's not completely dull. And just go through, dab it. You know, you don't want to kind of watch for streaks, water droplets in areas. The bottom can be a little bit more dirty, you know, how it would be naturally sitting in dirt or mud. And just keep on keeping on. Alright, so there you have it. I don't know how well you can tell in this shot, but I'll get a couple better ones like you'll have already seen. You know, it's a slight detail from afar, but once you get up on it, you can really see that they're actually quite muddy and dirty, and just that little bit makes all the difference. You know, they're not quite as shiny as they were once they were plastic, and just adding that little bit of dirt just helps give them that little bit more of realism to make them look a little bit nicer. And if I can do that, I try to. You know, making something like this, I like to make it out of wood or metal if it was actually metal, instead of, you know, not so much props that are like foam and just weird random stuff. So whenever I can get that little bit more of realism out of something, I like to do it. And this was a perfect little project. Again, super quick one, pretty self-explanatory. Mix up a muddy, watery mix and just spray it, wipe it down, dab it around, add more if you want more, do less if you want less. You know, there's no right or wrong way to do it. But if you like what you saw, hit the thumbs up. If you want to see more, hit the subscribe. I'm always over here doing some sort of creative project. These next few are going to be home decor and that type of thing related, just because I moved into this new place and I'm just getting it set up and I want to put some of that stuff out. It's relatable since it's spooky season and I like to decorate in that manner anyway. So see you on the next one.